Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Late Challenge podcast with me, Paul Cope, and him, Gareth Roberts. On this week's show, we'll be having a moan about people at the front of queues. I've noticed that's my new thing, isn't it? The moaning challenge. There's Robbo's Fact of the Week. We're revisiting the Fact of the Week from last week, Mickey the Monkey, and we're starting a new Ange Watch section. If we get there, I'm not sure we're going to get there, but I hope we do. Before that, though, we've had a load of new subscribers to this show recently, so thank you for getting on board if you're new to all this. And if you'd like to hear more of me and Robbo going into random topics at more depth and often with a bit more freedom when we're behind the paywall, isn't it? Which sounds mad. I reckon if you only watch this show, to think that we go deeper than we do on this.
Even more obscure
and more weird.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking over the weekend, maybe we should have this conversation, not do admin when we're recording the show.
I like doing admin on it.
But I thought, should we put out one of the, pick a Patreon that was good and put it out free?
Oh, yeah.
So people can see what it's like.
Because
there is a different vibe, isn't there? Definitely.
Definitely. Well, I should finish the sentence I was saying. If you are new and you want to see more of us, we also have a Patreon show once a week, which you can subscribe to for only £1 a week, which is a bargain.
It's all right, isn't it?
And there's links underneath the show. If you're watching on YouTube, there's links underneath here. If you're watching on a podcast, if you're listening on a podcast app, go into the notes or go to our website. But yeah, maybe we should do that. That's a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll have to pick which one we think we're safe with it going like into the world.
Yeah, we might have to edit it.
Because I think what we feel like is that because you've paid and you're on the Patreon, that it's like an exclusive club.
You're
and you like us, you're mates with us, and you're not going to blow us up when we say more controversial views about
Do you
things.
reckon we're going to find out soon there's like some spies behind the paywall?
Probably is, isn't
that
it?
Does happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, probably is. But I mean... I think as well, like, we've sort of been quite honest with some of the stuff as well, haven't we? Like, we tend to try and keep it fairly light-hearted on this one, though. We were on the other one, we've done more of the, like, the problems of middle age and all that kind of stuff. And people are always good. They always come back and say, like that. Yeah,
we get a lot of good feedback, don't we? So maybe we actually did. We announced a few weeks ago you could do a free trial, and then Patreon told us. When I tried to do it, Patreon were like, no, you can't. And I went, why? And they went, it's adult content. I was like, it's not really adult content though, is it? I had that with, did I ever tell you I had that with LinkedIn running an advert a few months ago?
No.
And they said I couldn't run it because it had adult content that I was leading to. I used the word bullshit. And I was like, I actually went back to them and went, I'm not being funny. Isn't LinkedIn for grown-ups? Like, surely you've got to have a job to be on LinkedIn. So surely if you're on LinkedIn, you can handle the word bullshit.
Who's offended by that? You know what I mean? Even like I thought I'm at that like crossroadsy stage now where, like my lad's like throwing in little things here and there to test the water to see what I do. Do you know what I mean? Because he's 15.
Yeah.
And so it's like, he's not openly sitting there swearing his head off or something, but he might just throw a little one in. And I had a conversation with him about footy on WhatsApp. And I think I put like, oh, fucking get in. And then like I edited it before he'd seen it and put like, that was blooming good or something, you know what I mean? And then as soon as he seen it, he was like, lol, like you edited it. I know what it probably said. and that's the thing, isn't it? We all sort of tiptoe around going, oh, well, it's not appropriate for him to be swearing at that age or you to be swearing in front of him at that age. But then when you're, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 or whatever, and you're with your mates and your parents aren't there, you'll be throwing them out anyway, won't you? You know what I mean?
Well, mate, I laugh about this and I probably do my sister's head in because I'm the uncle to her, obviously uncle to her kids. And I've always loved being the uncle. And now I'm in like the stepdad role. I'm like, yeah, I probably wouldn't like it if someone else was doing this. But the things I talk about in front of her kids, because I'm just like, one of my uncles gets dead upset if anyone swears in front of my niece. My niece is like coming up to 17. And I say when she's there, I'm like, if you don't think she's swearing when she's not with us and she's around people who are swearing, what is wrong with you? Do you not remember being a teenager? And she laughs and like, I'll joke about sex in front of them and you can see everybody else like squirming going, you can't talk about that.
She'll have a little fart rip and all that as well and just...
do you know what? No, that's more your thing, isn't it? You do funny farts, I reckon.
I do, yeah. Well, like, Debbie started saying to me, I think I preferred when we were still in the honeymoon stage of the relationship.
Do you know what? We're doing that typical thing. None of this is on the agenda. I was only thinking about that the other day. Like, that's a funny stage. We joked about this on the Patreon show, didn't we? Like, the stages of relationships. Farting in front of someone's, like, I reckon it's a seismic shift.
Or seismic shit. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, I'm like, we touched on it on here before. I mean, I find toilet humor just like always have done funny, obviously. And I always like to sort of find out where other people's boundaries are on that. Like, and like, you know, I think just saying something like, fucking hell, I'd give that 5 minutes. It was an absolute pancracker. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. But equally, you'll say that to some people.
Debbie doesn't find that sexy.
No, she's not that
attractive.
into knowing that I've just created a full pan of scouts.
That's a fucking disgusting image, though, isn't it? My mind's too, like, I have too many vivid images in me mind. Yeah, it's too graphic for me, that. But this is the thing, though, isn't it? Like, at the end of the day, you'd be wanting to get frisky with Debbie, and she's like, lad,
I know.
You were fucking joking about shitting in me fucking toilet earlier.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling that horny.
I didn't need to know that you block the toilet only with poo.
Yeah, that doesn't turn me on.
No.
And you never talked about that on our first date.
No. You wouldn't throw that in on a first date, would you? What's the biggest poo you've ever done?
Yeah, imagine that. I think we should just be ourselves. Let's talk about poo from the start. Have you ever seen...
Just stand up or sit down when you wipe.
My favourite one of all that, you know Wim Hof is, don't you? The Iceman fella. Did you ever see him?
I fucking love him. You reference him every week.
All the time. I know. I'm just turning to my dad, just fucking repeating myself constantly, I've realised. But he was on the Russell Brand podcast. This is a couple of years ago now, and he just farted.
Wow.
While he was on the podcast. And even Russell Brand sort of looked at him and say, you can't fart on my podcast, mate.
Did he follow it up? Like, did he say, like, you know...
better out than in.
Did he say, give it one of them, did he? Yeah. Because I like all the different ones of them. Like, you know, like, someone will do one and just go, like, twist. Or... what else? Speak up, Mr. Brown, you through.
My favourite one that's just popped into my head. I told you this one about... My mate was in a toilet cubicle and Joey, so like, and you can sense there's people next door, and someone did a proper like rip roar and one as they would have like had a big shit, and someone in the next cubicle went, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elton John."
Or
you're like that.
Give it a bit of choke and it'll start.
Fucking hell.
There's loads of them.
Yeah, this was an unplanned start of the show.
Yeah. We can revisit poo if people want us to. I'll do a special on poo.
Yeah, do you reckon this is probably not selling the Patreon to a lot of people?
The shitting forecast.
all our new subscribers suddenly unsubscribing. I love when that happens. Do you know, like we crept above 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, didn't we? And our mate Matt sent us a screenshot of it. Whenever that happens, you go back in and check and you're underneath again. Because you forget that other people are like...
It happens with everything.
You've got to get well past it before you celebrate.
I was like that on Twitter. Like, I don't know why I'm bothered, like, particularly at my age and with my experience of said platform. But, like, I was dead close to 60,000. So I just thought, like, if I tweet a bit more... If I tweet a bit more... If I tweet a bit more, maybe it'll get there and it'll say 60, you know what I mean? So I tweeted a bit more and interacted a bit more. And I think that's good for the shows anyway, isn't it? It makes sense to do that.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoyed it.
Makes sense for one of us to do.
Well, yeah. And I had a few, I even had some nice arguments, which people noticed as well. They said, I see you going old school on Twitter and arguing with people again. And I said, yeah, they were Geordies, weren't they? Some Geordie... I made a comment basically saying that I thought it was sus, the timing of the bids for Mo Salah and all that, you know, waiting right till the end of the window. And then all of a sudden we're interested. Oh, and we're interested when you play in Newcastle, our other project. Oh, and we're interested now because it probably helps Newcastle to disrupt a rival and disrupt. And then, you know, I thought loads would come back like, they're not a rival. I'm like, they literally finished 4th last season. We finished 5th. They're a rival as things stand. Yeah. But yeah, some Geordie come on who had actually dealt with in the past in terms of like, you know, like when I was speaking to rival fans or whatever on podcasts and things. And he come to me and he was like, all right, Robbo, do you want a tin at there? And I just couldn't be asked. And I just went back and went, well, I suppose it's preferable to a bone saw, mate. And he was like, and like loads of people like that, do you know what I mean? And he obviously didn't. And then we had this big backwards and forwards, like, but you know, I quite liked it. But like, so for days though, I'm on this precipice of like nearly getting 60 though, do you know what I mean? And then it went over and I was like, get in, yes, achievement unlocked this week. Gareth's got past 60,000. And then a couple of days later, back down again. 59,999, 59,998 and all this. And you're like, oh, for fuck off. Yeah. Come on. But then it's gone back up again over the weekend. So hopefully we can stay there. I don't think that was that interesting.
Well, I was going to get into the Saudi thing, and then I remembered we've got a football podcast now. So another plug.
Yeah.
If you want to listen to us talk about footy, come and watch our This Is Anfield thing, and we'll talk more about Mo Salah. But just while we're on that, it did make me laugh, and maybe this was just me and not paying attention enough. But do the whole like conspiracy theory about they're just trying to disrupt us and blah blah blah, which I do think was part of it because of the timing. But it felt to me like it was like it wasn't just a club trying to buy Mo Salah; it was Saudi Arabia. It's like Saudi Arabia want to buy Mo Salah. And you're like, lads, you're meant to be keeping up a pretense that this is all independent clubs and it isn't a state-backed thing. And you're like, you can't even fucking keep that. It's like, which club wants him? And they're like, don't worry about that. We've got 200 million here. You're like, fuck off. I was actually thinking, Joe, for the negotiation, I'd be like, fuck off. If you come in with 200 million, you can give us 500 million. The money is irrelevant to you, so fucking fund our fucking next.
I just kept saying years. It was Saudi. And then like when people were like, coming back at me, they were saying things like, oh, big spider running across the floor there.
That's what they were saying.
All right, lid.
That's a mad thing for them to say.
He was just gagging in as I was talking, and it caught my eye. That's thrown me that. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So I was saying, like, there is a conflict of interest, surely, that, like, look at that fella there, look at it. It's coming near you now. And I...
Well, we're doing a podcast.
I know, yeah, but it's a big, massive spider right there, lad. Look.
I love massive spiders. He's got them.
So, I
hope he crawls up your leg now.
Well, it's the end of him if he does. And you'll have to get into your speciesism again.
Yeah, don't fucking kill him.
Well, you save it then.
Why is he less important than you?
Well, I'm not saying he is, but I don't want him fucking knocking round by me bollocks.
I'm sure. Hey, after what he's just did, he wants to go nowhere near your
The Saudis own a football league and they own Newcastle. And so that was my point. And I had some lad come on to me
and Chelsea, by the way. Like,
well, they're involved in some assets of Clearwater, which apparently is absolutely fine. Nothing to see here. Yeah. As all the fireworks go off on Naked Gun. But yeah, they own 4 clubs, 75%, don't they? And then...
Which is sound. Imagine that, yeah.
They own 4 clubs, 75% the PIF, and also own Newcastle. And then they don't own the league. This fella came back to me. And you know what? I started like writing me reply, and then I just thought, I can't be bothered, because like if you just Google it, mate, and take your Newcastle glasses off, like... So the PIF don't run the football league in Saudi. The Ministry of Sport do.
Yeah.
Now, who were they? The Saudi government.
But that's literally
and who were the PIF? Yeah. The Saudi government. Yeah. It's the same fucking people, you dick.
I know. Do you know what's funny about that though? I told you I started watching and I haven't carried on. I only watched the first half an hour of the first show. But when you have all these debates and all that, and part of me wants one of those countries to like buy Liverpool, just so I can prove that everyone's a fucking hypocrite and the same thing would happen apart from a few people. The fucking I hadn't seen it before. I don't know whether you saw it at the time. The scenes outside Newcastle's ground when the Saudis bought them were
What's this
fucking hilarious.
Oh, the Newcastle
the Prime thing, yeah. It was hilarious. There wasn't any fucking... but their human rights record and all that. There were people fucking crying. There were old fellas crying, saying we've got our club back, they've saved us. There were people doing the thing that when City got bought, putting like tea towels on their head and like...
Yeah, I seen all that, I remember that.
Lads, come on. I mean, at least fucking tone it down.
There is a Newcastle group against them, isn't there? But, as a proportion of the fan base, it's not big.
Of course, but that and
I've thought about it though. Have you thought about it? Because I have. Because it's not beyond the realms that it could happen to Liverpool. And then fans or some fans will try and stop it or chip in or protest against it or whatever. It might just still happen regardless of what you do. And then what do you do? Because I have got some. I think I have got some morals around it, and I would not like it. But after it taken me so long to get a season ticket at Liverpool, am I meant to rip it up and walk away then?
Exactly.
Or do I just stay, piss inside the tent and say, this is why I hate it, but I'm not going to stop going because it's my football?
Everyone would do what everyone does, which is like what that lad's doing to you. Maybe not to that extent, but you start justifying it. Anyway, that's one for the other show. Yeah. Let's get into the middle-age moaning challenge, because this came up for me. It was dead funny because I think we were literally I was probably literally messaging you about content for the show, and I was at a train station. And a train's coming, do you know what I mean? And I'm queuing up to get me ticket. Like, the train was, like, the barriers went down and that, but, 5 minutes till the train comes. And there's a girl at the front of the queue who's bought her ticket. And she's just like one of them, do you know what I mean? And I know, and I just said, I don't know what happened. And just chatting away to the fella. And you're like,
Should not go, I just need a ticket here, I'm getting on
tickets
that.
Here. Like this, are you not conscious that this is a queue for people to buy tickets for a thing that literally has a time limit on it? Literally has a time limit. And that's the worst one for me. But then the other one was, I was in Sainsbury's the other week, and there was a woman in front of me in the queue who worked in Sainsbury's. She'd obviously just finished their shift and had done some shopping before she was going home. And she'd gone through the till and she stood waiting to pay, just chatting to the woman behind the till, who's her mate, who she works with. And I'm stood there like, I want to go home. Why am I standing, waiting, listening to your fucking... It's not. I wouldn't mind if it was a fucking interesting conversation.
Were you on a 9 for a poo?
On a 9 for a poo. Fucking hell. Is that in your head now for the rest of the show?
Well, that and a spider crawling up my leg, yeah. Thanks for that imagery.
So I'm intrigued. What's your take on all this?
Yeah, it does do me. I mean, look,
this is not me being a fucking grump, by the way. And Joe, I know people have got a certain image of me now with fair reason.
Can depend on the situation.
I don't mind people talking like to people at tills and that. But have some consideration for the people behind you in the queue, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, if there's like, I mean, if it's time sensitive, like, you know, you're literally trying to get a train, bus, whatever it might be, and like, you know, you're preventing someone clearly, then yeah, ovs. And yeah, that's a bit rude as well, the supermarket one as well, isn't it? I can't think of any examples though, you know, in recent history where a queue's really annoyed me. I mean, it annoys me that I keep coming back to footy. We've got a separate footy show and I'm still talking about footy, but I guess footy's a fair bit of my life. You know, the changing the system to get into the match from like a ticket that seemingly worked and everyone knew how it worked to something that they don't.
Some electronic thing that no one understands.
Yeah, I don't really get why we did that, and I still don't. And like, I nearly missed the first goal on Sunday.
Oh, is it still not working?
Well, there's still issues with it appears. I don't know whether that's like
mad though,
people who
it?
don't know how it works or whatever, or whether it's the system. But you know, it was like for me, for instance, my phone said, and I've got a season ticket, and it still said Bournemouth on it. It hadn't updated, and like, you can sort of manually update by sort of scrolling down, and I'd done that and it still said Bournemouth, and I was thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, because they normally tell you to get out of the queue and go and queue in the massive queue there right outside the ticket office, and I was like, oh. And you know, I always think, is there a part of this, is there a part of, like, you know, with you when you telling that, I was thinking the same, is there a part of this where it's my fault in any way? Is there something I could have done to stop this happening? And therefore I'll calm myself down and say, no, you could have done this there. And I was not late on Sunday, but later than I normally would be. As it was fine, by the way, because I just said to the fella, look at that, mate, it still says Bournemouth. And he went, oh yeah, we've had a few tickets saying that. Don't worry about it, it'll still work. And it did still work, so sound. But then when I was in there watching the game, got a little notification, looked, and it said, your ticket has been updated. And it jumped straight to West Ham. So my season ticket never ever said Bournemouth. It went from, never ever said Villa. So it said Bournemouth and it went to West Ham, but it worked. And you know what I mean? And I just think, you know, someone who's got more anxiety than I have over these things would have flapped over that, wouldn't he? But it doesn't say Villa. It doesn't, I'm going to have to get in that queue. Yeah.
Well, we're at that stage now. I was only thinking this the other day, using my laptop on something like, we are young. I know we're middle-aged now, but like, we've been raised in an internet, our youth still included some internet era, and we're savvy with laptops and stuff. But I was setting something up on my laptop thinking, like, it was a typical thing where, Joe, if it was me mum and dad, they'd be like on the phone to me saying, you need to come and set this up for us. And that's the bit that annoys me with stuff like that at the game. It's like it's pushing certain age groups out, because it's like they don't know what the fuck to do. And that will be us
you
at
can
some
go
point,
and get a paper
potentially.
ticket if you really sort of want to, and you know you can.
But they don't make it easy, do they? I remember that when my sister with my dad's stuff, they like.
They want you to do the digital stuff. It's the same with gigs now and all that, isn't it? But I don't like it. I mean, like, you know, I've always been a bit of a, I say collector, other people say hoarder. So especially like for gigs, I've got loads of gig tickets. I've got like loads in a box and then loads in like just drawers or on the fridge or whatever. But now loads of the gigs, there's no ticket. And what I saw the other day, and I just thought, you cheeky bastard. So this is a middle-aged moan that I've thought of on the spot. So I've gone to gigs for years, still go, still love them, not planning on stopping anytime soon. Once upon a time, you bought a ticket and it was an actual ticket and you kept hold of the ticket and they ripped the edge off and you got the big bit and that was your souvenir, happy days. Now it's all online, isn't it? The fees that get added on, like it's like they invent a new fee every time I go to a gig, like handling fee, agent fee.
I fucking love that. It's like
PDF fee.
You get I know, but you get like ticket office fee. Like I didn't go to the ticket office. And like I bought it online. This is not costing you anything extra to give me this ticket.
I know. But now what they started saying, some of them, is you can pay another fee, and they'll send you a paper ticket as a souvenir.
Oh yeah. Buy a souvenir ticket. Yeah.
Like stop adding extra fees on your little shit houses. Again, I'll go back to what I said the other week. There's a way for you to make money and be sound where it doesn't piss me off. And surely that's like, some kind of Venn diagram for your company.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of just, here's the bell entry of the Venn diagram. Well, we'll veer towards that at all times.
Yeah.
What, you coming to a gig and you won't be able to step outside that room while you're watching your favourite band? $9.50 for a pint then.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's the Venn diagram, isn't it? It's like, when there's a limited supply and unlimited demand, how can we squeeze the fucking most out of everyone? Like, how can we push it to its absolute limits?
Yeah.
And I'm like...
And things like, I hear arguments... I'm going 40 again, Shaz. But, like, loads of places, like, loads of games, so you go to away and you see it a bit more, because I think at Liverpool... They keep it down a little bit because they push it as much as they can, I think, at Liverpool, knowing there's a gang of our asses that go the game, me included.
We'll literally walk out.
Who'll go, fuck you, that's too far.
Yeah.
So I think Newcastle, it was like $6.70 or $6, something like that for a pint. And I was like, come on, you just made us climb the equivalent of fucking Snowdon to get to the away end. And then you get there and it's that much for a pint. It's not as bad at Liverpool, but it's still not great. And I just thought, but I've seen an argument where people go, well, that's not for you. And you were like, what do you mean it's not for me? Like, I'm in there, I can't go nowhere else when I'm in there. Yeah, but you drink it like by the pubs, by the ground, wouldn't you? And I was like, yeah, and I do. And I was like, well, that's for you then. And like,
What, they're justifying them ripping people off because it's like...
Some people do. They sort of just say, well, that's not for you because you're local, aren't you? So you get it. That's just for the tourists who come.
Yeah, but that's not all right to rip off the tourists, is it? Because then we're the tourists in other places. And like, stop ripping other people.
Just stop ripping everyone off.
Just ripping everyone off, yeah.
Because like every aspect of footy... Oh, I just knocked the Lars over. Every aspect of footy is ripping you off. You know what I mean? Like, even like, so you got a little kid and you get them into footy and they go... Dad, can I have the kit? And you go, sound, yeah. And then the kit changes every season. And there's 3 kits now. And they all change every season. And it's like, and then the kits are over a ton for a kid. Mate,
honestly, I saw that a few months ago. I was about to say to you, my sister mentioned the kit and I was like, fuck off. It's like £100. And I was like, and she went, no, but this is the actual, like they sell 2 types now, don't they? Yeah. This Stadium is the actual one.
And replica or whatever it is.
Like the players were. And I'm like, yeah, so you don't need that then, do you? Fuck that off. But again, we should fucking protest all this shit. I reckon we should start a revolution. I think that's where I'm edging to with this fucking shit.
Well, you know what makes me laugh without naming names? Let's just say that during my previous, full-time employment, I experienced someone who was high up in football then. And
it's dead funny watching my brain, inside my own head. I wish I could put it on a big screen. It's like doing a fucking puzzle of a Chris Nolan movie now.
You're doing like a guess
former, who? Yeah, it's like former employers. So I've got like a list of all the former employers. Yeah, that's what it's like. And then when you went, then it was like my brain went, ooh. So he's not in the job anymore. Then ooh.
But honestly, got genuinely annoyed. Like, it was written on the face and how they were acting and everything, about the fact that people use the liver bed or that, stuff gets ripped off in their eye. And it's like, is there any shock really if you're saying for a 3-year-old, a full kit is £110? Well, guess what? You're going to look for other ways to fulfill the need where you want them to have something on to show the support, but you don't want to pay that because that's a fucking rip-off. Yeah. But from there, that's not right, that's this, that's that, that's wrong, this is why it's wrong. fuck, maybe we'll just don't charge that much, because I can guarantee you the profit margin on that must be huge. It's a bit of material with badges on it. Like, it's not £110 worth of stuff, is it?
Yeah, and bear in mind where they're getting them made. Do you know what I mean? They're getting them made for pennies.
Yeah. So,
which again is fucking awful.
So, like, I don't get like the, you know, why you were that wound up about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, what do you want us to do? And like, you know, look, like I know lads, you don't even support Liverpool, support other clubs or whatever, and they had the conversation, and they like, yeah, the kids always want the kit, blah blah blah, and then they're all using these mad like Far East websites and that, and ordering like blags, and the blags are coming, and they're going, they're all right, you know. Yeah. Take a few weeks to turn up, like, but then when they're all right, yeah. Like, they sometimes fuck it up if you ask for the name on the back or whatever. But you know what I mean? And again, it's like, well, why do you think people are turning to that? Because that's too much. So, you know what? It's the same with the pirate. And like, I heard some lads, I've actually dealt with him, actually, like a journalist, and he's like Birmingham-based journalist, and he's done a bit of a audio documentary for the BBC about piracy of football. And he was saying an estimated 5 million people now on Saturdays or whatever, using like Fire Sticks or equivalent, whatever, are watching Premier League football. And like, so seemingly whatever they do to try and stop it, it's like whack-a-mole, someone else pops up with it, or there's another way to do it, or whatever. And it's the same thing again, isn't it? It's like, well, okay, you're charging, to go legit, shall we say, you're charging me that for Sky, that for TNT, that for Prime, and guess what? It's beyond the means of most people, or a lot of people.
And by the way, I saw someone tweet about this, a journalist at the weekend, might have been one of the Echo journalists, about like the Liverpool. I thought Liverpool game was on Sky because it was at 2:00 on Sunday.
And it wasn't, but it was because
they're in European footy. So obviously, I was forced to watch it by other means,
alternative methods.
Yeah, but he's like whoever it was, the lad who tweeted said Liverpool's not on telly today, and then he went, but of course it is. Like, all the camera crews are here, all of the TV companies are here, all of the pundits are here. You just can't watch it in England. You can watch it anywhere else in the world, but you can't watch it in England, despite how much you pay, like what, as you've just referenced. It's an absolute fucking joke. And I know that all the historic stuff about 3:00 kickoffs and protecting things and all that stuff.
That's gone, hasn't it?
But that's well gone, hasn't it? That horse is bolted. So why don't we have a sensible conversation with it? But again, same fucking thing. But you know the thing I don't get about it? And this is from a business perspective, right? And I'd love to sit down from a business perspective and have the conversation with them. I've always thought this about Sky and BT. Do you know, if you made it affordable to everybody, and you don't have to lower your prices that much to make it affordable to everybody, well, more people would have it. Yeah. So you'd make more money. So you'd win. Yeah. And guess what? Do you know if more people are your customers, you've got more people you can sell other stuff to then? Because you know, if there's more Sky customers and you've got a box office fight coming up, they're more likely to buy the box office fight. And do you know if you make the box office fight a £5, not 20 quid, more people will buy that as well.
But
and do you know if you
that,
make the footy kit cheaper,
fans.
More people will buy that and they'll become fans. Yeah. And it's a long-term fucking business strategy.
It's mad, isn't it?
The whole point of football is get them in young, because it's a fucking mad thing to do. So you need to get them in young while they go, like me and you even in the point when you're older and you start going, do I really want to do this anymore? There's something deep in your soul that goes, you need to watch Liverpool. And that's because we started watching them when we were kids. Yeah. So get them into it. But seemingly it's just like, no, what's the most we can charge for this? Anything. And like, this isn't just footy, is it? As you say, gigs, everything else. How much can we just charge you for everything you want to do? And you're like, I just think it's a shitty way to go about life.
It is. And I totally agree with some of your logic there about, you know, like, as an example, I watched Liam Smith's fight at the weekend, and you know, Debbie's not a boxing fan, and I said, but will you watch this with me, because I want to watch this fight? You know, he's a Scouser, a local lad, and you know, I like to watch his fights, type of thing. And she went, yeah, go on, Sam, yeah, I'll watch it with you, type of thing. So they were on and all that, and like, she loves all the Rocky films and was going on about that, and I said, it's not like Rocky though, do you know what I mean? Like, and like, she was messing, do you know what I mean? But then in the fight itself wasn't great, certainly not from Liam's perspective, and obviously he lost and everything else, and you know, you feel a bit sorry for him. It's a bit of a shame, and like, we're having a conversation about, you know, why didn't he do X, Y, and Z? And I'm saying, well, it's not that simple. He's cut weight and he's had an injury and he seemed to roll his ankle, and you know, obviously Eubank wanted revenge for what happened last time, and blah 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 blah. And then we're chatting away about it all, and then I just started saying, like, But so are you a boxing fan at all? Have you ever watched fights? No. And she's like, not really, no. And I said, yeah, well, let's extend that you've been prepared to watch that fight. So I'll throw a few things on YouTube now, but I'll throw someone on that if you've never seen them and you liked Rocky, this is the closest thing to Rocky in my lifetime, I think. So I threw on Tyson, and I was like, when we just watched a load of his knockouts, and she was just like, bloody hell.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know.
That's real life, yeah.
And I was like, and he was like world champion, wasn't he? At was it 18, 19? Yeah. And I was like, that used to, it's making the hair stand on my arm speaking now. It was like unbelievable. And we all know what came afterwards. And he's got his challenges in life quite clearly. And, even the how he got into boxing, I think he'd been arrested 38 times or something before he even got into boxing. And someone spotted some talent and went from there. But anyway, so she was and she got into it and she was like, whoa. And then I was like, and here's when he got beat and all that. And that's the first time he's always tasted defeat after all of those, knockouts that you saw and blah, 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 blah. And she got that into I could see she got into the story of it. And that goes back to exactly what you said. If that was on the way it used to be, boxing used to be on ITV, didn't it?
Yeah.
And so if it's on ITV, it's on terrestrial, it's open and people can watch it. You'll create new fans.
Exactly.
And they'll want to watch it. And then when it's the biggest fight, I get put some things behind the paywall and say all right, so we give you all that, but now you got to pay for that. Because come on, we
literally do this, do you know what I mean? Before people start throwing shit at us.
Again, back to the Venn diagram of sound. Well, I don't feel what we're doing is taking the piss because
we
in
do
the Venn
stuff.
diagram of soundness, you're getting a free show every week. And so if you want to watch the free show every week, just watch the free show. That's absolutely sound. And all we're asking is tell other people, hit the like and subscribe, blah, blah. But then if you want to pay for an extra one, it's £1 a week.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel unfair for you to throw a knicker in.
But
you'd throw a knicker in for the fucking the fella flying the plane, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's fun. Someone commented on that. Did you see that? They used to.
What?
On foreign trips, they used to do a whip around for the pilots.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I did see that. Well, I sit in front of I sit behind on the cop. Someone who flies planes, and he's obviously watched the show, and both him and his mate were like, "Hey, you're going to throw a quiz in for him?" Do you know what I mean? And I was like, "Nah, he's meant to be flies planes."
Yeah, he doesn't need it. Fucking. I do love that though that happened, and someone will have gone, "No, we do that for a bus driver because he doesn't get paid that much." Do you know what I mean? This fella's sound. I promise you, he's flying a plane.
And equally, look, we can get the violin out as well. And I'm happy to do it. No one's paying me, so.
Yeah, 100%. And mate, but we talked about this last week and we've talked about it a few times. Me and my business away from this, I have the same philosophy. Give away loads of stuff for free. And then there's different levels of, if you want to buy stuff, you can buy stuff, but there's no pressure to do it. If you want to buy a book, it's a tenner. If you want to buy a course, you can do that for £200. Different levels of, and you don't buy anything if you want to, just have the free stuff.
Well. I don't know about other people out there, but I like to do it. If I stumble across someone and I really like the stuff and I, go down the rabbit hole of listening to their content or reading the free stuff, 9 times out of 10, if I've thought that's good, I will buy it.
100%.
Because, I really like that James Clear fella. And I signed up for his weekly email and all that, and I still get that, but I bought his book.
Yeah, but I think that's I think that mentality comes from, and don't get me wrong, I do see people in the general public who have this mentality, which I really like. But I also think it's very prominent in people who create. So people who are creators are generous to other creators.
Yeah.
Because it's I'm consuming your stuff for free here and it's helping my life. So the least I can do is buy your book for a tenner.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I've got that same attitude. I've bought books that I haven't even read. Because I've basically just gone, I just want to give you some money.
Well,
as a thanks.
On that Kip on the Cop thing I'm doing, I think a few people have thrown in, and you can see it's come from here. And they put in the comments, love the podcast, by the way. Or I think someone even put something I've never signed up for the, the Patreon one, yeah. So I feel bad, so I'll sponsor you for this instead type of thing. Nice. And it's sound. Do you know
there is a thing you can do it like that now, isn't there? Didn't we look at that? At the start, people just throw in
coffee.
Buy me a coffee or something like that.
Yeah, we didn't do it though, did we? No. So don't buy me a coffee.com.
But that's it. Well, look, we've done our usual thing of chatting for ages. So that's a nice segue. Do you want to give the Kipping on the Cop a little plug?
Oh yeah, so I'm doing it on Saturday. I've mentioned it on quite a few shows now, but if you've missed it, so on Saturday, myself and one of my mates, we're both Kipping on the Cop. We're still trying to decide. You're allowed to either kip between the seats or kip on the concourse. Talking to some of the fellas in front of me actually on Sunday, and they were saying, "Oh, you've got to do it like in between the seats, because like how many people will have had a kip and woke up and saw the pitch and all that?" And I like that. That's so to see them. We had that now. Previously, I thought it'd be freezing out there and it'll be warmer under the car. But then the weather this week's good. And it's hot and warm and all the rest of it. Hence the sweaty car paint there on the sign for those listening. So yeah, I'm doing that. It's to raise money for the vulnerable and the homeless in Liverpool. LFC Foundation do various things for those people. That this money will go in the pot for the LFC Foundation to work with those people. And then, as I mentioned before on a show as well, I am a competitive bastard, and I'm trying to be the one who raises the most out of anyone.
Are you back at the moment? Are you back on top?
Oh yeah, I'm back on top at the moment, but there's a competitor. I've been watching him.
Is it head-to-head?
I'm a few £100 ahead of him at the moment, so I'm hoping I can still
Where's he from? What's his like?
I don't know. I'm just looking at his GoFundMe.
Is he just really committed to knocking on neighbours' doors?
He seems to know a lot of people with dough, because like, listen, a few people have thrown in like bigger figures for me, and I'm absolutely. I appreciate it if you've thrown in £1 or £100. You know what I mean? But equally in terms of the competitive side, if you threw in a ton, then I'm getting more ahead, aren't I? But he's had a few people I've been looking like 150s and 100s and all this, and I'm like,
you have to find him.
He must fucking know people with dough him.
Find him.
Yeah.
Find out what his background is.
So I'm still a few £100 ahead of him now. But I also got like this email today as well, which was boss, and it said something like on Just Giving, because it's Just Giving, not GoFundMe. I got that wrong there. On Just Giving, you're in the top 5% across all fundraisers within the last number of weeks or whatever. And I was like, get it. Yes. So if you've got me on Twitter or you haven't got me on Twitter, you can go on Twitter, or X as it's now bizarrely called. And
how long do you reckon it'll take before everyone calls it X?
Never. I'm never calling it. That's fucking weird. It looks weird when you look at your phone. It looks like some kind of like porn app or something.
The mad bastard.
But yeah, it's pinned tweet on there is one way to find it. We keep throwing it in on the descriptions on the show as well. So it's on there as well. So if you do want to sponsor me, you're running out of time to do so, because I'm literally doing the kip out on the cop on Saturday night. So yeah, get behind it. Throw in any amount that you can afford, and it goes to a good cause. And it helps me win because I'm a competitive bastard.
Yeah, well then there's content for next week, isn't there? So
yeah, tell you what it was like.
So, well, this is our last opportunity on the main show to say good luck with it.
Cheers, mate.
And well done,
you.
mate. Like, you know, all joking aside.
Yeah, nice one. No, I'm looking forward to it.
So we've only got 20 minutes left. Do you want to? Have you got a fact of the week before we revisit last week's?
Of course, I have. Although you know, cause on a Monday now, I'm sort of also prepping our Liverpool shows because we have 2 a week now live at 5 on a Monday, and then one bonus content later in the week. So I almost forgot, and then I was like, you know. I've done everything and eaten the butty and all that. And I was like, shit, I haven't got a fact. But this week's fact is about the Chinese community in Liverpool. It is believed to be the oldest Chinese community in Europe. The first presence of Chinese people in Liverpool dates back to 1834, when vessels direct from China arrived at Liverpool's docks to trade in goods such as silk and cotton wool. But the actual sort of fact, the big fact, I mean, the oldest Chinese community in Europe's a fact, but the big fact within the fact is that we have the largest Chinese arch outside of China. It's good, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the Imperial Arch in Chinatown in town stands at 13.5 meters. Or 44 feet, it says here. It spans Nelson Street and is one of Liverpool's most spectacular sights. Detailed on the arch are 200 dragons and 5 roofs. The arch was a gift from Shanghai, a city which was twinned with Liverpool, and it was shipped over piece by piece, assembled in the year 2000, constructed by a team of 20 workers from Shanghai in under 90 days. And it was ready for the Chinese New Year celebrations that year. There are 2 bronze lions as well. And apparently it's all been placed correctly with the principles of Feng Shui.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
So it's meant to protect Chinatown from evil and bring good luck and fortune. There's also a thing about sort of, you know, the way it's like, it comes down a hill and
it's
where
on a funny angle, isn't it, when you think about it?
And so where it is, it's like, it's blocking the the block and the look sort of thing, basically. And the look's meant to then spread
accumulate
around
in there.
Accumulate around there, yeah. It cost £700,000 apparently. I mean, one thing on the look type side of it, I'm not mocking that in any way, but you know, the new Chinatown development, which went tits up, suggested he could do with a little bit more. I mean, it's sort of like, I'm a bit sad about Chinatown because I really like it. And I go there from time to time and eat there and all the rest of it. And like, you don't need to be a genius to work out it's a little bit on its arse around there at the moment. Like, so I think if people can go and support it, do so. And it is a real shame about New Chinatown without getting into that. I mean, basically it was supposed to be this big £200 million development, and then developers went bust and money disappeared and
dodginess,
all that kind of stuff went on. It was all a bit of a shame, but you know, nevertheless, stuff to be proud of that end of town.
Yeah, do you know what it always baffles me when you do these stats and like these facts, and we've got the biggest stuff. Like when you think about, I do think this is more a male thing than a female thing. I'm sure maybe we'll get shouted at for that, but due to the competitiveness, like. I've never heard a girl say they want to win a charity fundraise. Do you know what I mean? Whereas when you said it, I was like, yeah, fucking win it.
It's just
fucking
that weird hard wiring we've got, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
But I can't believe that, like, whoever built the London one, for example, didn't go, well, we've got to make it fucking bigger than Liverpool's. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you know, we always keep referencing like Middle East in reference to the footy and all that, but have you got onto how bad they are for that?
Oh, but I love it.
Spend even more on an airport, make a building slightly bigger than the other, put an aerial on top so it's bigger than that.
We always talk about that conversation around the table, like where they're coming up with ideas. The one in the Middle East is the fucking maddest one of them ever. Whenever they're doing that, it's just some fellas going, well, can you make it float? It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's a building. Fucking make it float.
Can you make
it 10 times bigger?
Can you make weather? Yeah. Can you make the weather sound?
Can you make it snow in the middle? Can we have a ski slope?
Yeah. Can we have a sea?
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't we just build it in the middle of the ocean?
Have you seen that mad thing in Saudi? And I haven't researched this at all, so I'm trying to, like, you know, remember it. And my memory's not great, which we touched on before. But they're building this like sort of massive thing in the desert, and it's like a building, but it's dead skinny and it's all in one line.
Where's this?
In Saudi. But it's like, it goes on forever. It's got some mad name. I don't know. They just want to build a building that way and say, look, that's dead long, innit?
Isn't that a perfect example?
Yeah, that's a perfect
Someone's just gone, why don't we just build a dead long thing? And someone's gone, sound.
And, you know, going back to the telly as well, when they were all like ripping each other's telly off and blocking each other's telly and launching black versions of the other one's telly and all that kind of stuff. All that was mad as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're fucking lunatics.
Yeah.
But what's the common denominator? It's mainly fellas.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Mainly, I've often said this about, like, I used to joke with people saying, like, the universe will never let me be dead rich. I'm not going with that anymore. But I used to say, it'll never let me be dead rich, because, you know, when you do that thing where people go, what would you do for £1 million? And then people start going, would you eat some dog shit off the floor? Blah, blah, blah. And I went, if I was a multimillionaire, I'd just always carry around, like a metal briefcase with £1 million in it. And when you have that conversation, I'd just be going to people randomly. Go ahead then. Here's £1 million. Eat that dog shit. And people be like, that's not how the conversation works. But like, well, you can have £1 million if you eat the dog shit. And people be going to me, it's out of order, that. That's not nice. Like, it's a fucking game.
It'd go round, by the way, that you were walking around with £1 million. You'd be relieved of that £1 million.
I know. I'd have to come up with a better way of doing it. But you just start getting people fucking coming after you, wouldn't you? Saying, I'll do this. Yeah, I'll eat that.
You got the million.
Gives the money. Yeah.
It's being done, that one now.
Yeah. I'll think of something else. to do. I mean, that'd be a wild fucking YouTube show, wouldn't it? I'm sure that stuff like that exists already.
But we won't have it, will we? You won't have your £1 million. Or will you? You just said you'll never have £1 million?
Yeah, I will now, yeah.
Oh, you will now?
Yeah, I'm just not going to give it to people to eat dog shit. Okay. I don't think that's a good use for it.
No, I think finally get it.
I think that's why the universe wouldn't give it to me before, because that's what I would have used it for. Whereas now I'll use it for better things.
Fair.
Should we haven't got much time left now, but I wanted to revisit last week, because many people commented on Mickey the Monkey, and I felt like, because we were pushed for time, it might be my favourite fact of all time. We've never done this before. I've never revisited a fact of the week. And I think it may be my favourite fact of all time, because even as you were reading it to me, but literally I was in like shock when we finished the show. And I was like, I can't let Mickey the
You're
monkey
messing
go.
with the system now by doing this, aren't you? Because we know that people watch these in absolutely random order, so they'd be like, "What the fuck's Mickey?"
I know, but you'll have to. I promise you, because I'm not going to read it out again, so I'm going to get extra hits on our last. It's clever. This going to get extra hits on our previous show. Go back if you haven't watched or listened to last week's. Go back and listen to last week's fact. If not the whole show. But the whole show was good, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was funny. Mickey the monkey is a fucking legend. Look, I'll read out. We had so many comments on him. Steve Daly said Mickey didn't give a fuck, did he? Nice one for that fact, Robbo. Daniel Adams said can't stop crying about Mickey. Red Lady 935. Oh, she was referencing our, which got a lot of comments too, by the way. That can we just cut out Liverpool and push it over to Ireland?
Oh yeah.
She said take us in Sheffield too, please. Mickey's story brought tears to my eyes. And then Barry Beatty said, unbelievable fact this week, lads. You had me hooked for Mickey. They should put him up everywhere in the city over that Lambanana thing in 2008. And I was like, this is where I want to go with it. Because honestly, even as I was reading back, do you know when you have that thing in your head where you're like, you've got an idea of something and then you think, oh, it won't be as good as I remember. Like I did this, I still need to put on my alien pictures, don't I? From they got referenced on Patreon last week. That's a little teaser. I'll put them up for the subscribers this week because that had a similar thing. I was like, oh, it won't be as good as I remember, and then I was like, fucking hell, it's better than I remember. And this was the same because the first thing I thought of, like, this was the second fact. The reason you did this fact was because you started by saying you did a recent fact about a zoo in North Liverpool. And this was a zoo that used to be in South Liverpool in 1932. Like, it's not that long ago, is it? 90 years. Why don't we have a fucking zoo anymore? And especially, like, I remember as you were reading out last week, I was like, we could spend a show talking about each line of this story. Like, even it starts, Mickey the chimp was 13 stone, bigger than a man. So picture that. He's fucking massive, this fella. And I love the way you actually put, apparently not that into being in a zoo because he escaped repeatedly. But so the first line of the description, once threw a coal car driver across the road who tried to stop him when he was escaping. And then another time kissed a woman. This is a man-sized chimp. Like, this is one of those things, Joe, and I do this often in life. You'll have got to this where I'm like, but picture it really. It's fucking mental.
Just walking along the road in town or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, all right, lad.
Bigger than me and you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm Mickey.
Yeah. And then they stuffed the fucker and put him in Lewis's.
But this is the mad thing. Like, so to recap on the bits that I loved, he got involved in painting some railings after spotting some painters doing the same. So he's a monkey and he's gone, I like that. I'm going to have a go at that.
I can do that. It's a job.
Yeah. So in his spare time in the zoo, he's there having a fucking ciggy, painting the fucking fence. Yeah. You're like, Mickey, what are you doing, lad? He's like, fucking, I'm going to paint this fence and I'm going to fucking knock off. I'm going to grab that bird over there. She's fit, isn't she? And then he was said to be a good, like, even this line, he was said to be a good goalie.
Yeah.
And people would take pot shots at his goal, really ever score. Like, this is what he had, like, he had a life.
There was more bits to it as well.
He had
like,
jobs and part-time hobbies.
We were right at the end, weren't we? And so, like, I was sort of like, flying to it. But even the goalie bit, like, there was a bit in the thing I read saying that he was a good goalie, but he'd also get a cob on, like, basically. So, like, if people started, like, coming up and absolutely ballooning it at him, like towing it at him, and like, it hurt him, he'd get a cob on and like lash the footy at them and stuff like that, like, you know what I mean? And I was thinking, well, that, again, shows you that we're not that far removed then, because I've seen that very behaviour in games of footy when I was a kid. You know what I mean? When you play, no, he's absolutely volleying at me. What are you doing?
Yeah, I remember doing that, like when you were warming up for a game. Every now and then I'd play in goal at like the pits or whatever in five-a-side, and you'd be warming up and then three people would twat the ball at you at the same time. He's like, fucking hell, lads, any need for this? Yeah.
So, it just shows you, doesn't it?
And that's what so the last bits where in March 1938, he left the zoo hall and got into a playground of a school where he knocked out a teacher and lashed him across the yard. He knocked out a teacher. He punched a teacher. A monkey punched a teacher. This is a fucking TV show. And then later on, this is the end, like the end of Mickey, where everyone got really sad. climbed on the roof of a house and was lashing slates at the busies. And because it was deemed too dangerous, he was shot and he was died clutching a footy. But anyway, so like then he was stuffed, put in Lewis's on display, and then that was all destroyed in 1941 in the Blitz, which was when he perished as well, like his thing. But I think we should start a campaign here. I think this is where this show is going, like revolutions, campaigns at the very least for Liverpool. I'm with Barry Beatty right on YouTube.
Maybe he could be up on the plinth with Dickie Lewis.
That's what I'm thinking. Why can't let's get, because Joe, when you've referenced a few times now, Joe, statues in different places and they don't represent the people that were there. Like what, it was a Harold Wilson in Huyton.
Yeah.
And you're like, he's not even from Huyton.
It's from Huddersfield.
Do you know if, like we've had the Lambananas and all that, and I used to like them, but when you talk about statues representing the place they're from or they're in, could there be a more fitting representation for this great city than Mickey the monkey? He's throwing coal drivers across the street. He's copping off with birds. He's knocking out teachers, having a game of footy, painting fences and lashing slates at busies.
Character. And people used to pay to go and see stuffed Mickey at Lewis's. So, yeah, I mean,
who's the fella who did the bronze statues and that for Liverpool?
Don't know.
Remember, he did Shankly and...
was it Tom Murphy or something like that? Yeah.
Should we get on to Tom?
Tom, can you do as a Mickey there?
Oh, the fella, we've already got a connection, I've just realised.
The one who did the one on the Whittle?
The fella who did the Whittle one, yeah. Should we get in touch with him again?
I mean, you need some money though, don't you?
Well, we'll do a fucking GoFundMe thing. Or
GoFundMe for Mickey?
Yeah.
And then just get Mickey and Tom with his footy.
The lad listens, doesn't he? Whose uncle was the one who did the Whittle one. Have a word with your uncle. See if he's interested in doing...
How much for a Mickey?
Mickey the monkey.
Yeah.
You up for that?
Yeah.
I reckon we could start a campaign.
It's heavy on Mickey. Like, I mean, you know, would you have him by Lewis's? Would you rather? I mean, like the zoo was like Southend, wasn't it? It was like, you know, Sudley.
Was it Mossley Hill?
Mossley Hill ways, yeah.
Well, where would you have him? Wouldn't you have him centre? I think he deserves
you want him like
be.
Maximum footfall, don't you? Do you know what I mean? So in town by Lewis's would be good.
He deserves prominent place, like the fella with the cock out.
Yeah. And you could have a boozer after him and everything, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Mickey the monkey.
Yeah. I think that'd be
meet you in the Mickey.
Yeah. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I think this is actually a thing.
Yeah, why not?
If you like this, let us know. I reckon we should start something. There's a thing here where me and you could end up like, I was thinking about this today. Do you know when you're just walking down the street and my brain's just like ticking along going, this is why I'm not getting anything done. There's a thing in this, like we could become like mayor of Liverpool and this is the stuff we could do. Like think about the stuff they used to do and we've lost over the years. We should have a zoo. We should, like, this is the bit I didn't read out before. The zoo had flamingos, a vulture, a giant tortoise, monkeys, and a 4-ton dancing elephant.
We got Chester now, though, haven't you? You got Blackpool. I feel like they're all like...
we should have one. I
where would
want
it
to
go?
be well better.
Where would it go? Where's
right
the spec?
Right in the middle somewhere. Just a wild one. We should have a wild zoo where it's fucking
the safari
mental.
park as well.
Yeah, but that's... Yeah, well, that's Knowsley, isn't it? It's not that far out. But imagine, what I liked about these was they were like right in.
Yeah, but he went tits up.
Yeah, I know.
That's
I don't expect it to last very long. I think it'd end up like
it?
Jumanji. Do you know what I mean? You'd have shit running down the street.
Yeah, they both. I mean, the one in the north end, apparently no one really went to it, and the one in the south end, everyone kept escaping. Mickey was chinning people driving coal trucks and that.
I mean, that does sum up how this city does organise stuff sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not into it.
I just can't see it happening. I just think, you know, there's people too busy spending the time building shift flats on every bit of space in Liverpool. So.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the problem, isn't it? No one's got any imagination anymore, have they? Everyone just wants to do a fucking block of student flats.
Yeah, Lego flats.
If you're listening to this and you're minted, have some fucking imagination, get in touch with us.
I think that's a thing.
Do something fun.
Yeah, do something nice and do something that's got a legacy instead of just putting up Lego that falls apart after 20 years.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? We've only got a couple of minutes left, and we haven't got time now to get into this. We will talk about this another time because I really do want to talk about it. We're going to start a football challenge section, or I was called Ange Watch, because Robbo and I seem to have developed a new crush on the Tottenham manager, haven't we? Were you up? Did I see a tweet from you in the middle of the week, or have I dreamt that? You were like watching down, you were going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I went down a wormhole of watching stuff, and I like found a really old interview of him when he was like sort of manager of like the youth team in Australia.
Oh,
and
you
then,
sent me that one,
and then he went on the telly and had a big argument with the fella, and it was fucking brilliant. It was just like...
It was just right up your street, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just like, proper fuck you, like coming back at him, like, and like, you're not going to let me speak, mate, and all this, and like, just boss, just like boss Needle, but informed Needle, like not just like being a player for the sake of it, just fighting your corner and just saying, hey, it be you, mate, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you know what I liked about it? He forced him to say he thinks he should be sacked. Like he was going to him, so you think I should resign, basically. You think I should lose my job. And he forced him to say it to him. Yeah. And the fella looked dead uncomfortable, didn't he? He was like, I suppose so, yeah.
It was
like,
great.
Yeah, well, you're a
really
fucking
good.
knob.
And then, I mean, what I didn't realise as well, I tweeted about that and plenty of people replying to me, like, and, he was manager of a Melbourne Victory, wasn't he, when I was out there. I watched Liverpool play them.
When we had 90,000 in the friendly,
So I was there for that at the MCG, and I just didn't realise, it didn't click with me that he was the manager there then. And then he's obviously, gone up and up and up and Celtic, and now he's in the Premier League. And he's a Red. But I just like every press conference, every week, it just feels like there's a little boss bit, basically. And he just seems like a great fella. I mean, there's a thing about being a great fella or a great person. That's just like, that's where like your natural leaders come from, isn't it? Like, if you like the fella, then you're more likely to do stuff for him, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? That's the type of management I react to. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're sound with me, then off we go. And if you like try and like take me on from like, day one and like cut me down or something, then we're not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, but also as well, without getting into all the details we're going to talk about, one of the things I've heard him say about his football philosophy, which like I don't hear anyone say this, and Joe was a footy fan, when you're like, yeah, but this is what footy was all about, wasn't it? He's like, I've heard his players say, his whole thing is if you're 2-0 up, go and score 3. If you're 3-0 up, go and get the 4th. If you're 4, go and get the 5th. And they're already playing like that, aren't they? Like, and you can see the players are like, this is fucking boss. Because what was it like when you were in school playing footy? That's what it was about.
Yeah, imagine what it was like playing for Mourinho.
I know.
Or Conte.
You score 1 goal and then it's fucking, that's it now.
Yeah, just don't
fucking concede.
Waste time, fall over.
Isn't it just dead refreshing that like, there's a proper senior footy manager who's like, and successful, like he's won everywhere he's been. It's like, yeah, you can play like this, you can play and it'd be dead good fun, even more so than we've seen. So we'll talk more about him in the future. But yeah, well then, Ange, and it's great you're a Liverpool fan. That's it. That's all we've got time for, isn't it?
Yeah.
So thank you again for old subscribers, for everyone who's been with us since the start. Whenever you jumped on the wagon, thank you for supporting us. Share it, like it. Tell your mates about it. If you want to get on the Patreon, jump over there. And if you like the footy stuff and you want to hear us talk more about footy and Liverpool in particular, get onto our This Is Anfield collaboration. We'll be out Mondays live at 5, which you can get after. If you miss it, you can get it as a YouTube show and a podcast as well. And there's a one later in the week, which is a more sort of in-depth, slower paced show instead of the live reaction one on a Monday. But that's it. Thank you again. See you next week.